Now, this video begins with something that I don't often speak openly about, because if the truth be known, I don't want to fuel the woo-woo crowd. And the reason I don't want to fuel them is because I don't think these things are woo-woo. I don't. They are completely natural to each of us. And if you don't have a handle on all of your assets yet, and this is one of your assets, I promise, don't feel bad, okay? Because I don't know of anyone who does, all right? We are all works in progress, and perhaps this is never more true than in an area like this one. So, the first point that I want to make is that you have these gifts, and they are not woo-woo. They are you. All right? So don't forget that. Even so, please fasten your woo-woo seatbelts, remain seated, and keep your arms and legs in the vehicle at all times. Here we go. After learning of Wayne Dyer's transition, I pinged him, which is something that I do all the time, and some of you may already do it too, but it's something that we can all do, and we've just forgotten how. And I'm going to do a video on pinging later, but it's really very similar to pinging a computer connection, which is basically sending out a query to see what you get back. And it's a wonderful thing, and it may sound a bit odd to you at the moment, but I assure you, I promise, it is as native to you as your own heartbeat. And in fact, you are most certainly already doing this. You are. So now we'll do a video on all that later. Just know that right now, even though it may sound a little odd, you already do this. It's really common. It's inherent to everyone. So anyway, I pinged Wayne to feel where he was at and what his attention was focused on. And I wasn't a bit surprised to find him not only very well, but he was delighted with his new dexterity, because it allowed him to communicate freely and effortlessly with so many at one time. And while I had him there, pingable, I had to ask my question. And this is the question, the one I always ask everyone that I communicate with from that perspective. I ask him, what do you understand now that you didn't before? And the response was, how important it is to be kind to everything. Everything. And then the word cherish illuminated brightly before me. And the power and intent of these words, quite honestly, took my breath away. And so, of course, as I sank deeper into the reply, it was so beautiful and so wise that, of course, I had to share it with you. Be kind to everything. And of course, we should be. But how quickly we fall into the illusion and we forget. We think that this person is giving us a hard time, or that relationship was an unlucky move, or that our boss is screwing us over to save money. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But the truth is, not only are our loved ones and familiar places and things not there accidentally, nothing that touches our awareness is there accidentally. Absolutely nothing. Not even our horrible boss, or our terminal illness, or our lost cat, or our stolen credit card. Nothing. Rather, we have cast everything in its role, and we've been doing this since the beginning of time, literally. And this is what was being pointed to in the metaphor of Adam in Genesis. It's chapter 2, I think it starts verse 19 for those who want to look. Out of the ground, the Lord God, which is your higher self, formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky, which these things are metaphors for the contents of the world you know, and brought them to man, which is the metaphorical you, and here's the good part, to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called a living creature, that was its name. We give everything its name. We tell it what it is to be. No one is here harassing us or loving us because of any circumstance except for one. We asked them to. We called them by their name. We labeled them, in other words. So one may be the way that we express low self-esteem or fear, and another might be the way that we express our desire and worthiness to experience love. But we label them. We give them their name, and we cast them in the roles that they play for us. So, no wonder constant kindness would always be appropriate, right? Right. Now, I want to take a moment to make something super clear here. Being kind to everything does not mean that we should be passive. Actually, it is impossible for you to actually be passive. It goes against who and what you are. But many times when we discuss kindness and love, we somehow mix in the lesser idea that this means we should just lay back and take it. And that's not true. Rather, we should always act from a seat of compassion. And that is not the same thing as being a doormat. Why should you be a doormat if you give everything its name? So if we are the ones telling everything what it should be for us, doesn't it stand to reason that we could change any of those attributes whenever we choose? We certainly can, in one way or another. So what I want you to see is that while our world is always reflecting externally what we hold within, that doesn't mean that we're stuck with those reflections. That's not what they're there for. Rather, they're our messengers. They are the handwriting on our proverbial walls, and we are supposed to read them and then determine whether they should stay or go. And this doesn't just include things that we consider to be alive, but also experiences. Now let me show you how silly this is, because I know this is a popular idea right now. But to think that we should be passive about something and just put up with it, it's like getting up in the morning and going to your bathroom mirror and seeing your hair sticking up all over the place and you looking like you could use some tidying up, and looking at yourself and just thinking, oh well, I guess I should just love my messy hair and adore my morning breath. I mean, how crazy is that? Heavens, no. You have a hairbrush, right? And a toothbrush, probably toothpaste, right? Why, oh why wouldn't you use them to change what you see in the mirror? Because, after all, the mirror is only reflecting us. Well, what we're talking about here is exactly the same. A mirror shows us our current state of being, and our world does that very same thing. It shows our current state of being. And in the same way that you can use tools to tidy yourself up, you can brush your hair and whatnot, you can also use tools to tidy yourself up internally, and in the exact same way, your world, which is your mirror, will reflect that tidying up. Does this make sense to you? Can you feel that ping of truth when I say it? I bet you can. But there's a whole movement out there that expresses a passive love everything concept. But they have mistaken the word love for something closer to endure, and they don't know it. Because why else would you put up with wonky hair when you own a brush and you have the ability to fashion your hair into a more pleasing shape? And in the same way, why would you walk around putting up with a wonky world when you have the ability to fashion it into a more pleasing and orderly shape as well? But let me take a moment and give you a twofer here and tell you why that movement has found some transient footing. Because it seems to work. It does seem to work, doesn't it? But here's what you're not seeing. And I hope you can listen carefully, because I would love for you to explain what is happening to others that are also caught up in it. The love everything and passively allow whatever is to continue being seems to work for one reason and one reason alone. It's because this attempt to pretend to love everything requires us to lay aside a whole pile of nasty things that are gunking up our gears. Because if you're valiantly trying to pretend to love something that you truly don't care for, you have to do your best to let go of anger and judgment and fear, don't you? You sure do. You can't have these things around and pretend to love something. And so, even simply the minimization of these nasty little things brings you these wonderful byproducts. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you are feeling and experiencing. Now, this is a fine line, so watch carefully. When you pretend to love something, then you are not actively hating anymore, are you? Or being angry? You're not judging, you're not fearing, you're not resenting, and more. And at least regarding whatever it is that you're pretending to love, you're not doing any of these things. Now, can anyone tell me what happens when anyone minimizes those things in their world? That's right. The sun comes back out. Your life does get better, but not because you're telling yourself a lie and pretending to love what you don't. It gets better because telling yourself that lie and then holding on to it for as long as you can makes you ditch these nasty little things. It does. And the byproduct of ditching these nasty things is you do have an improved life. And this is why sages of old have recommended to do away with them, literally with every breath they take. So, many of you have tried the passive love everything bandwagon, and you may indeed have gotten some good results. But perhaps now the glow is beginning to fade. If you're honest, when you sniff the air, you can smell that this goes no farther. And you're right. This is as far as that bus is going to take you. Instead, we don't need to lie to ourselves and pretend that, for example, we love little Johnny's mom who actively takes a dig at us every time we see her. While releasing your anger and judgment of her is recommended and will do your world a world of good, what really needs to happen is that you need to realize she is your employee. She is. She is the actor that you have cast to bring yourself a message that you have hidden from yourself. That's why she's here. There's no other reason. You ask her to come and to do that. And this is how we need to look at our world. We do need to be kind and compassionate to everything, even the things that are driving you nuts. And releasing negative emotions will give your life a spit shine, and it will do it in fast order too. But we don't need to tell ourselves a lie. Rather, we just need to see what is. We don't need to pretend to love Johnny's mom. When you see her for what she truly is, which is a messenger of what you are holding within, then you truly hold her harmless. Not through gritted teeth and a forced smile, but truly. And then you have the ability to find what is in you that is creating this unpleasant situation, and you can change it. You don't have to be a doormat. You aren't supposed to be a doormat. In fact, you can't be a doormat because you are the one who is telling everyone how they should act in regards to you in the first place. Do you see? So if you don't like what you're experiencing, then tell them something different. Don't pretend that it's okay. It isn't. But it isn't your adversary. You are your adversary. You're the one setting all these things up. And all of these things are your reflection in the mirror of you. They're your messengers bringing you news of what is hidden inside of you. So, of course, be kind to them. Don't shoot the messenger. They are your employees doing what you ask, which is, by the way, harmonic for them to play this role for you too, but that's another topic for another day. So, my message today is, please don't pretend to love. See the higher truth being pointed to in this video, and then you can love them for real. Be kind to everyone and everything, but don't for one moment play the doormat. Remember, you can't be the doormat. You are the one casting all of these roles. You're the director. Bit by bit, we rise. With each day, our understanding grows more and more clear. If we stumble and fall, it doesn't matter one bit. It only matters that we get back up and we try again. And if we have seen less clearly before, don't judge ourselves now. Instead, be happy about seeing more clearly, and then help others see more clearly too. Share what you know. Why? Because when one rises, we all rise. You have this ability, you know. You have this and more. I offer you these thoughts for your consideration.